G'day and welcome to another JoeJoeMoto how-to video. Today's topic is going to be busted cases. If you have a crack or a hole in your case, well, this is a video for you. Luckily on mine, I've only got a small little crack and it's easily repairable. If you've got a big hole, then you know you're going to have to be replacing the whole case, depending on your bike and whatever as well. So this movie is going to be in a couple of parts. The first part is repairing the case. The second part is fixing up this lever, getting rid of any sharp edges so that, fingers crossed, it doesn't happen again. And the third part is fitting some case covers, which I should have done in hindsight. I should have done it straight away as soon as I got the bike, but we'll fit those up and make sure that this never happens again. So we'll start by removing this shifter. It'll give us nice access to everything here and also enable us to work on the back of it as well. There's an 8mm bolt under there. All bikes will be different, but the key to it is removing the bolt all the way. Sometimes if you don't remove them all the way, it stops it from actually pulling the shifter off. We've got full access to this, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the bike on its side and it'll just get all the oil over the other side of the bike so that we can work on this without any oil leaking out of it. So you can see mine is not bad at all. It's really quite nothing. Just this tiny little ding here, and it's just enough to cause a bit of a leak there. So what you want to do with the cases, give them a really good clean up. Some nice, real heavy grit sandpaper, and then just go to a bit finer. And then we're going to clean it up really nicely as well. So let's get tucked into this and get started. I don't like leaving the bike on its side for too long. Alright, so once it's all cleaned up like that, you're ready to give it a good clean with some terps or something like this. I've got some Prepsol here, wax and grease remover, just to really clean that area, make sure there's no dirt and dust and oil or anything like that, so that we're ready for the metal putty. Today I'm using some quick steel, just any sort of two-part metal epoxy, anything like that that's a metal-based sealant putty thing is going to work really well. Any of that sort of stuff. So we'll get some quick steel kneaded up and ready to go into that hole there, ready to go all around that spot. All right, here we go. We've got the putty here, two-part quick steel putty. So we've just got to mix that right up there. You'll know when it's starting to do its thing, do its chemical reaction. It starts to get a bit warm. I'm going to pick out a little bit to start with, and I'm going to start by just really pushing that into that section, just so that, if there is a little tiny hole there, it's just going to sit in that hole really nicely. Then I'll get a little bit more. I don't want to go really thick with this stuff either. If I go too thick, then those case covers aren't going to fit on properly later. So we'll just get just enough to cover that whole area. Okay, it's looking pretty good there. I mean, it's not looking good, but it is. It's definitely setting into there, and it's packed down nicely, so it's not going to go anywhere, that's for sure. I think this is like 5-minute set or something like that, so you're just going to let it sit and cure for a while, and we'll move on to the next step. We've got the bike back up now, got it on a center stand, and you can see the repair that we've done here. It covers it nicely. It's definitely sealed. There's no oil or anything coming out of it. I am going to leave this for a good day or so. I'm not going to start the bike. I'm not going to sand this. I'm not going to play with it at all. I'm just going to let it sit, let it set, and be really confident with it then. So now we move on to the next part of the how-to. You can see on the back of the shifter here, there's all these sharp edges, and I know that's exactly what's caused that the crack in the case there. So if it didn't have that hard edge, it might not have done it at all. So I don't know why. You can see exactly those really sharp edges on the sides. We're going to get it down so that it's this nice rounded all the way around here, and hopefully we won't have a problem again. Well, you can see the difference now. I've got it beautifully smooth all the way around here. you know, there's no sharp edges at all left anywhere there to smack against the case. So really happy with the way that turned out. Now we move on to fitting these case covers. It's going to make it a lot easier if you've got full access to where these covers are going to go on. So we're going to remove this brake pedal here to give us easier access to everything here. It's going to be really important to give both surfaces a really thorough clean. Would love to wash the bike before doing this, but that's alright. We'll be able to give it a good clean off here, and also do it with the case guards as well, because they're going to have you know, probably just a bit of thin film of grease or oil or something like that to protect the aluminium or whatever it's been made out of. So definitely just give both surfaces a really good clean, because you just want it sticking very well. So what we're using here is some black RTV silicone. Now, because we're using silicone, it's going to get rather messy. So I've got myself a whole bunch of dirty rags and then a final clean rag there to wipe off the excess. I think the key to this is going to be to get it up close to the edges and then close to the inside edges as well, so that when you are placing it on there and then wiping it off eventually, obviously you're going to clean all the edges down. You want it to push out on all the edges. You don't want all gunk and mud and whatever getting caught up inside the case cover. That'll be more than enough on there. A bit too much, but we'll see how we go. So both surfaces are really clean, and we'll get this placed on in the right position. And then once we've got it in the right spot, you can see it's starting to squish out on all the edges there. Just going to give it a good little squeeze around and push around everywhere and get that silicone just squeezing out everywhere. Go around and clean all the edges up. Do this now, obviously, while the silicone's wet. You don't want to be having to try and clean this later. There we go, there's one side done. Sitting in position, perfectly central. There's no need to put any taper on it, anything like that. You know, the silicone's holding it in there nicely, and it's not going to be coming off anytime soon, that's for sure. So there we go, one side done. Let's go and do the other. Once you've done this round here, it's really important with the way that you put it on. You must, like, it is really important the pattern that it ends up going on there, because it will stick a certain way. So your pattern needs to be perfect when you get it on there, alright? The right spot. So give it a good press on there. There we go, that one's looking really good. There we go. It's nicely cleaned up all the way around there now. And nice little bit of silicone on there. And that's sitting on there beautifully. Well, it's just going to take a bit of time for those covers to dry on there. So what we'll do is, you know, as long as we're not knocking them about and moving them around, we can start to put our bits and pieces back together. There we go. And over this side we just need to put on the gear shifter. And I've got this big silly rubber boot thing as well. I don't know if it's going to make any difference, but we'll chuck it on and I don't know, it'll help out somehow, I'm sure. Okay, that's tight there. So there we have it, how to with fixing the case on an engine that has a hole in it, and fitting the case guards as well onto a DRZ 400. Not that it would be unlike any other case guards anyway. So hope this has helped you in some way, shape or form. We'll see you on the next how to.